90s was a vibrant era for music, and many bands from that time left an unerasable mark on the music scene. From grunge to pop, alternative rock to hip-hop, the 90s had it all. These bands not only defined a generation, but also shaped the sound of the decade with their unique styles and unforgettable hits. Whether you were headbanging to Nirvana, dancing to Pearl Jam, or chilling out to Oasis, these bands hold a special place in our hearts. So today, join us as we celebrate the music of the 90s and hope for the return of these 13 famous bands from the 1990s we want back. Formed in 1987 by Aberdeen, Washington natives Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic, Nirvana went through drummers early on before Dave Grohl, later of Foo Fighters, solidified the lineup in 1990. They rose from the underground grunge scene in Seattle, injecting a raw, angst-ridden energy into rock. Their 1989 debut album, Bleach, gained them a loyal following, but it was 1991's Nevermind that became a cultural phenomenon. The iconic video for Smells Like Teen Spirit took MTV by storm, and the album's dynamic shifts between quiet verses and explosive choruses resonated with a generation. Nirvana headlined tours worldwide, selling out stadiums and forever changing the landscape of alternative rock. Tragically, Kurt Cobain's struggles with addiction and depression led to his suicide in 1994, dissolving the band. Novoselic has dabbled in various projects, including politics. Grohl went on to massive success with Foo Fighters, one of the biggest rock bands today. Nirvana's music continues to inspire new generations, solidifying their place as grunge legends. The echoes of Nirvana's grunge anthem fade, but how did Pearl Jam, with their raw energy and loyalty to fans, shape the destiny of Seattle's grunge era? Will their dedication to authenticity and refusal to compromise echo Nirvana's legacy? Pearl Jam rose out of the Seattle grunge scene in 1990, formed by Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament after their previous band, Mother Love Bone, lost its singer. Eddie Vedder's powerful vocals and the band's raw energy set them apart. Their 1991 debut album, 10, became a monster hit, selling millions of copies and spawning iconic tracks like Alive and Jeremy. They constantly toured, selling out arenas and becoming known for their marathon live shows. Unlike Nirvana, Pearl Jam avoided the commercial trappings of fame. They famously clashed with Ticketmaster over service fees, refusing to play venues that used them. This dedication to their fans solidified their loyalty. Pearl Jam has had drummer changes over the years, but the core of Vedder, Gossard, Ament, and McCready remains. Though not topping the charts every album, they've stayed a relevant force, filling stadiums and releasing critically acclaimed music. Today, they're one of the few surviving grunge bands and continue to tour the world, keeping the spirit of the 90s alternative scene alive. Pioneers of grunge Soundgarden emerged from Seattle in 1984. Chris Cornell's soaring vocals and Kim Thayil's innovative, effects-laden guitar work set them apart. Their heavy riffs and dark, introspective lyrics resonated with a generation. Though not achieving mainstream success as quickly as Nirvana or Pearl Jam, Soundgarden built a devoted fan base through relentless touring and critically acclaimed albums like Bad Motorfinger and Super Unknown. Their music videos, like the trippy, symbolism-laced Black Hole Sun, received heavy MTV airplay. Soundgarden disbanded in 1997 due to internal tensions and creative differences. Tragically, Chris Cornell passed away in 2017. The remaining members have performed tribute concerts occasionally, but the band's future as a recording and touring entity seems uncertain. Despite this, Soundgarden's influence on rock music remains undeniable. Their music continues to be played on rock radio and inspire new generations of musicians. With the melodies of Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun echo, did Alice in Chains, with their raw vulnerability and fusion of metal and grunge, face a journey akin to Soundgarden's rise and fall? Will their legacy endure through trials and transformations, inspiring future rockers like Soundgarden's enduring influence on music? Formed in Seattle in 1987, Alice in Chains was another grunge cornerstone. Lane Staley's soulful vocals blended with Jerry Cantrell's catchy riffs and dark, poetic lyrics. They achieved mainstream success with albums like Dirt and Alice in Chains, which spawned hits like Wood and Man in the Box. Their sound was unique, fusing heavy metal with grunge and creating a raw vulnerability that resonated with fans. Alice in Chains built a loyal fan base through relentless touring and impactful music videos. However, the band was plagued by internal struggles, particularly Lane Staley's battle with addiction. These issues led to the band's hiatus in the late 90s and Staley's tragic death in 2002. Though the original lead singer is gone, Alice in Chains continues to tour and record with new vocalist William Duvall. They've achieved success with new music but haven't recaptured the magic of the Staley era. Notwithstanding the changes, Alice in Chains' legacy lives on. Their music continues to inspire new generations of rockers, keeping the spirit of grunge alive.
'Cause all of the stars.
Manchester in 1991 gave birth to Oasis, a band that exploded onto the scene with a cocky attitude and a Britpop sound that dominated the decade. The Gallagher brothers, Liam and Noel, were the driving force. Their sibling rivalry fueled the band's energy and fueled headlines, with Liam's on-stage swagger contrasting Noel's sharp songwriting. Oasis didn't just sell records, they shattered them. Their debut, Definitely Maybe, became the fastest-selling British album ever. Hits like Live Forever and Supersonic became anthems, and their follow-up, What's the Story Morning Glory, became a global phenomenon, selling millions and spawning iconic tracks like Wonderwall and Don't Look Back in Anger. Oasis toured relentlessly, filling stadiums worldwide and becoming the biggest rock band in Britain. However, the Gallagher feuds became too much. After a backstage brawl in 2009, Noel quit, effectively ending Oasis. Liam went on to form Beady Eye, while Noel launched a successful solo career. Oasis's music remains a soundtrack for a generation, and rumors of a reunion constantly swirl. While unconfirmed, one thing is certain: the Gallaghers, love them or hate them, left an undeniable mark on music history. The anthemic chords of Oasis's Wonderwall resonate. However, did Green Day, with their punk ethos and chart-topping hits, navigate a journey akin to Oasis's meteoric rise and eventual fracture? Will their legacy endure like Oasis's, as a defining sound of their generation, with rumors of reunions and constant evolution keeping fans hopeful for the future?
I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid?
California punks Green Day weren't following trends, they were setting them. Formed in 1987 by Billy Joe Armstrong and Mike Dirnt, they started as teenagers playing fast, furious punk rock in the East Bay. Their early albums were raw and underground, building a devoted fan base through constant touring and DIY ethics. Trey Cool joined on drums in 1990, solidifying their lineup. Their major label debut, 1994's Dookie, became a game-changer. Fueled by the iconic video for Basket Case and the infectious pop-punk spirit of Longview, the album exploded. Millions of copies sold, MTV played their videos on repeat, and Green Day became the voice of a generation. They toured relentlessly, selling out arenas and mosh pits worldwide. Green Day never strayed too far from their punk roots, even as their sound evolved. Albums like American Idiot tackled political themes, showcasing their songwriting maturity. They dabbled in musicals with the Tony Award-winning American Idiot. Today, Green Day remains a force. They continue to tour, sell out stadiums, and release new music, proving that sometimes a little teenage angst can go a long way. After the echoes of Green Day's anthems reverberate, did the Smashing Pumpkins, with their blend of heavy riffs and dreamy melodies, navigate a journey similar to Green Day's rise from underground punk to arena rock legends? Will their ongoing evolution and reunion spark renewed enthusiasm, echoing Green Day's enduring relevance and resilience through the years? Formed in Chicago in 1988, the Smashing Pumpkins weren't just another grunge band. Billy Corgan, James Iha, Darcy Retzky, and Jimmy Chamberlain created a sound that was both heavy and dreamy. Their music weaved together grungy riffs with soaring melodies and introspective lyrics, exploring themes of alienation and teenage angst. Their 1991 debut album, Gish, hinted at their potential, but it was 1993's Siamese Dream that launched them into superstardom. Singles like Cherub Rock and Today became alternative anthems, with MTV putting their visually striking videos on constant rotation. The band wasn't afraid to experiment on their double album Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, 1995, which explored a wide range of musical styles and became a commercial juggernaut. Despite arena-filling tours and millions of albums sold, tensions simmered within the band. Chamberlain's well-publicized struggles with addiction and creative differences led to a breakup in 2000. Corgan reformed the Smashing Pumpkins with various lineups throughout the 2000s, but they never quite recaptured the magic of the original era. Bassist Darcy Retzky sadly retreated from public life. However, a reunion with James Hia and Jimmy Chamberlin in 2018 sparked hope for fans. They've been touring and releasing new music, proving that even after a break, the Smashing Pumpkins can still pack a punch. San Diego birthed Stone Temple Pilots, STP, in 1989. The original lineup was Scott Weiland, brothers Dean DeLeo and Robert DeLeo, and Eric Kretz. They rose to fame in the early 90s alt-rock scene, though some labeled them grunge imitators. STP stood out with a unique blend of hard rock, grunge, and soaring vocals. Their 1992 debut album, Core, was a monster hit, launching them on tours and selling millions of copies. Singles like Plush and Creep became staples on MTV, solidifying their place among the most popular bands of the decade. Despite their success, tensions simmered within the band, particularly due to Scott Weiland's struggles with addiction. This eventually led to his firing in 2013. STP experimented with new vocalists, including Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. But nothing felt quite right. In 2017, they recruited Jeff Gutt and continued to tour and release new music, though some fans believe they lack the magic of the Weiland era. Sadly, Scott Weiland passed away in 2015. The DeLeo brothers and Eric Kretz remain active in the music scene, both with STP and other projects. Stone Temple Pilots, though altered, keeps the spirit of 90s alternative rock alive, reminding us why they were one of the era's most popular bands. The echoes of Stone Temple Pilots' hits linger, but did Nine Inch Nails, with their dark industrial sounds, and Trent Reznor's uncompromising vision, navigate a journey akin to STP's rise and transformation? Nine Inch Nails wasn't your typical rock band. Formed in 1988 by Trent Reznor in Cleveland, it started as a dark industrial music project. Reznor, the mastermind behind everything, wrote, performed, and produced most of the music, bringing in other musicians for live shows. Their debut album, Pretty Hate Machine, in 1989, became a surprise success, blending industrial sounds with catchy melodies. Nine Inch Nails wasn't afraid to push boundaries. Their music videos were often disturbing and thought-provoking, perfectly capturing the angst and frustration of a generation. Songs like Head Like a Hole became anthems, and their intense live shows, complete with pounding rhythms and dramatic lighting, were legendary. Reznor wasn't afraid to fight for creative control. After disagreements with his record company, he formed his label to ensure artistic freedom. This dedication to his vision resonated with fans. Nine Inch Nails continued to evolve, incorporating electronic elements and experimenting with different sounds. As the industrial beats of Nine Inch Nails echo, did Weezer, with their catchy melodies and nerdy charm, embark on a journey akin to Nine Inch Nails' path of pushing boundaries and evolving sound. Will Weezer's enduring impact, whether through quirky music videos or unexpected collaborations, resonate as strongly as Nine Inch Nails' legacy of innovation and artistic freedom? Weezer arrived on the scene in 1992, bringing a fresh sound to Los Angeles. The band consisted of Rivers Cuomo, Patrick Wilson, Matt Sharp, and Brian Bell. They defied easy categorization, blending catchy melodies with power pop influences and introspective lyrics about the awkwardness of teenage life. Their 1994 self-titled debut, often called the Blue Album, became a cult classic. Singles like Undone, The Sweater Song, and Buddy Holly rocketed up the charts, thanks in part to their quirky music videos directed by Spike Jonze. These videos, featuring everything from cartoon dogs to sweater puppets, perfectly captured the band's nerdy charm. Weezer wasn't afraid to experiment. Their follow-up, the more alternative-leaning Pinkerton, was initially a critical letdown but has become a fan favorite over time. The band went through some lineup changes, with Matt Sharp departing and Scott Schreiner joining on bass in 2001. This era, often referred to as the Green Album era due to the cover art, brought a return to catchy pop-rock anthems like Hash Pipe and Island in the Sun. While they never quite replicated the mainstream success of their early albums, Weezer has remained a creative force. They've embraced a fans-first mentality, releasing surprise albums and even collaborating with fans online. Today, Weezer continues to tour, surprising fans with deep cuts and new music that blends their signature sound with unexpected influences. Whether it's their devotion to their fans or their willingness to experiment, Weezer proves that geeky guys singing about teenage woes can have a lasting impact. Blur, formed in London in 1988, was the frontrunner of the Britpop movement in the 90s. The band consisted of Damon Albarn, Graham Coxon, Alex James, and Dave Rowntree. Their early sound leaned towards Britpop's shoegaze and Manchester influences, reflected in their 1991 debut album Leisure. Blur's big shift came a few years later. Inspired by classic British guitar bands like the Kinks and the Beatles, they crafted a more Britpop-oriented sound. Albums like Modern Life is Rubbish, 1993, Park Life, 1994, and The Great Escape, 1995, catapulted them to stardom. Park Life, with its iconic Britpop anthems Park Life and Girls and Boys, remains their most successful album. Blur's popularity peaked during a well-publicized media feud with fellow Britpop band Oasis. While the competition fueled creativity for a while, tensions within Blur mounted. They started experimenting with different sounds on albums like Blur, 1997, and 13 Inches, 1999, distancing themselves from Britpop. In 2003, Blur went on hiatus, with the members pursuing other projects. Damon Albarn, the creative engine, focused on the virtual band Gorillaz. Reunions throughout the 2000s kept hope alive for fans. In 2015, they released a surprise album, The Magic Whip, and continue to tour occasionally. Blur's legacy extends beyond catchy tunes and Britpop battles. Their ability to evolve and experiment throughout their career while staying true to their British rock roots solidified their place as influential figures in alternative rock history. After the energetic rhythms of the Red Hot Chili Peppers reverberated, did the Chili Peppers, with their blend of funk rock and punk, navigate a journey akin to the band's evolution from local funk pioneers to global rock icons. The Red Hot Chili Peppers weren't your typical rock band. Emerging from California's fiery funk scene in 1983, the original lineup of Anthony Kiedis, Flea, Hillel Slovak, and Jack Irons brought a unique energy. Their early shows were wild affairs, blending funk, punk, and theatrics to build a local following. Though the music was raw and exciting, it didn't translate to mainstream success at first. Tragedy struck in 1988 with the death of guitarist Hillel Slovak. A turning point followed this dark period. John Frusciante's innovative guitar work and the addition of drummer Chad Smith in 1989 ushered in a new era. Their sound became more melodic while retaining their energetic core. The 1991 album, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, was a breakout success. Singles like Give It Away and Under the Bridge became staples on MTV, and the band headlined tours worldwide, selling millions of albums. The Chili Peppers' journey wasn't always smooth. They battled drug abuse and internal conflicts, with John Frusciante leaving the band twice. Despite these hurdles, albums like Californication, 1999, and By the Way, 2002, showcased their continued evolution and ability to fill stadiums. Now, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are a powerhouse. With John Frusciante back in the fold, they keep releasing acclaimed music and touring globally. Their unique blend of funk, rock, and punk, along with Kiedis' instantly recognizable vocals and Flea's funky bass lines, ensures their music stays relevant for new generations. Though the original lineup may be gone, the Red Hot Chili Peppers' legacy of fun, energetic music with a positive message lives on. In 1991, Los Angeles ignited with the explosive sounds of Rage Against the Machine. Zach De La Rocha, Tom Morello, Brad Wilk, and Tim Comerford weren't just musicians. They were a political force. Their music fused rap, metal, and punk with revolutionary lyrics railing against social injustice, corporate greed, and political corruption. Their self-titled 1992 debut became a cultural phenomenon. Singles like Killing in the Name and Bullet in the Head became anthems for a generation yearning for change. Their concerts were legendary for their raw energy and mosh pits, perfectly capturing the band's rebellious spirit. They constantly toured, selling out venues and building a fiercely loyal fan base. Rage Against the Machine wasn't afraid to take a stand. They clashed with record labels and concert promoters over censorship and boycotted awards shows. However, internal tensions and creative differences led to a breakup in 2000. The members pursued various projects. Zach De La Rocha formed a solo career, while Tom Morello went on to found Audioslave with former members of Soundgarden. Reunions throughout the 2000s kept the flame alive for fans. In 2007, they officially reunited and continued to tour and speak out against injustice, proving that their message remains as relevant as ever. Though their music may have emerged in the 90s, Rage Against the Machine's fight for a better world continues to resonate with new generations.